What's up people, welcome back to International. Today's date is 4th September 2022 and the reason why I'm mentioning today's date is because in last couple of weeks there were a lot of good news for international students who are in Australia and those people who are planning to study in Australia as an international student. In this video, we are covering 5 important news for international students. They're related to migration, they're related to COVID, they're related to what will happen and how will visa processing get faster. So if you're somebody who's interested in coming to Australia as an international student or somebody in Australia studying as an international student, then this video is just for you. So check it out. Getting back to the video, but before I tell you the 5 news, I want you guys to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And if you find this video at all helpful, then share this with your friends because that is what you can do for us so that we can reach more people and we create all the content for international students. So probably this channel will be useful for you and your friends. Moving on to the first news, and that is for international students who are in Australia and regarding COVID. So if you're an international student in Australia and unfortunately you get COVID, then you might be eligible for pandemic leave disaster payment. This is a payment that you can get if you lose more than 8 hours of work or a full day's work and have less than $10,000 in your bank account. I'll give more information in the description, including the link, so that you can check whether you are eligible for that payment or not. And if you are, I would suggest that you also ask for that payment because it will help you sustain while you isolate. And that brings us to the second news, and that is if you get COVID, the isolation period up until last week was of 7 days, which has decreased to 5 days, which is a good thing because all of us across the world are getting on with this whole thing and getting our normal life back. Moving on to point number 3. Now, a lot of you guys are watching this video from your home country waiting for your visas. We all know that the processing time of Australian visas has increased a lot and there are a lot of international students who have a COE of Australian university and waiting for their visa so that they can come to Australia. The good news is that Australian government has decided to inject $36.1 million so that the Home Affairs can actually hire more people and increase the speed of visa processing. So that's why that's a really good news. Moving on to news number 4, and this is my personal favorite, that Australian government has decided to increase the migration cap from 160,000 to 195,000. This is a huge news because 35,000 more people will be able to get their permanent residency visas in Australia. So if you're in Australia right now, this is a great news for you. I would suggest that figure out how you're going to get your permanent residency. If you want to get a professional help, do that, consult a registered migration agent or a lawyer so that you can know what your pathway is because it is actually getting slightly easier to get your permanent residency. And just so that you know why this is happening is because in Australia currently there is huge skill shortage. What that means is that there are so many companies trying to hire the right skill set people, but there are just not enough people in the country. I also read that there are more than 480,000 jobs available in Australia and there are just not enough people to get those jobs, or if there are people, they don't have the right skill set to get those jobs. And that's why it's a really good news that Australian government has decided that they are going to get more permanent residents in Australia so that they can boost the Australian economy as well. Moving on to the 5th awesome news for international students. But before we get into that, if you still haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell and share this video with your friends. Thank you for doing that. Moving on to the last point, and that is Australian government has decided that post-study work visa, which means the visa that you get after studying bachelor's or master's in Australia, is going to increase. For selected occupations, Australian government has decided that after you study bachelor's, you will get post-study work visa of 4 years. Before that, it was 2 years. For masters, from 3 years, they have increased it to 5 years for selected occupations, and for PhD students from 4 years, they have increased it to 6 years, which means that you might get a lot longer time to work in Australia and figure out whether you want to live in Australia, what is your pathway going to be of permanent residency, and just enjoy Australian lifestyle after you have been an international student in Australia. I hope you loved this quick video. If you like that video, hit that like button. If you're missing out on any news, then write that in the comment section, and as soon as the news comes, we upload on our Instagram channel. So if you aren't following our Instagram account, then internash.co is our Instagram account. I would highly recommend to follow that as well. See you in the next video.